Analisa Six here with the Lady of Leisure and the Sober Curator to bring you the February 2025 astrology forecast for the zodiac sign of Cancer for Sun and Rising placements. Hi, Cancer. Welcome to February. We are going to dive right into what houses are most impacting you this February. So for the Cancer horoscope, so make sure you're looking for your sun and rising placement. So usually horoscopes are the most accurate for rising placements, but they're pretty accurate for sun too. Aquarius season, we start out in every single February, and where this hits for the Cancer horoscope is the eighth house, which is the house that is considered to be our house that rules shared resources. This house is the house Scorpio traditionally rules, and it's one of the most complex houses out of the entire chart. So I'm going to list off everything that it represents. If you're familiar with these videos, you've heard this before, it's not new, but we've got sex, death and rebirth. We have, that's why sex is part of that creation. We also have the occult. We have shared resources. So this could be shared resources between someone you're married with, someone you live with, family. This house rules inheritance. It rules taxes, loans, debts, and any kind of financial institutions that we're a part of. Assets, I said, so that can be any kind of, loans around houses, cars, anything like that, businesses in terms of shared resources, that type of stuff. So when we have this house highlighted, all of those themes are present and active in our life. We have the sun here, Mercury here, and Pluto here starting out February. The sun and Mercury here, Mercury passing through the eighth house with the sun. It's a great opportunity for you to get things in order in terms of all of these themes. You might feel some curiosity more towards the occult or your sexuality in some way. If you are dealing with death or inheritance, the kind of like practical, logical side of estates and things like that are active. If you are, more in the financial part where you're reflecting on a loan or consolidating debt or a relationship to a financial institution or your own kind of money management, that's highlighted here as well. We also start out the month with Venus finishing up her stint in Pisces. She enters Aries on the 4th, and today I'm recording these on the 9th. So we're already in Venus in Aries, but Venus was passing through the area of the chart that has to do with your values and belief systems. We start out the month with Saturn, Neptune, the moon, the North Node, and Venus all in this area on the 1st. So if you've been in this period of feeling like you need to travel, you need to do an educational program, you need to work on something that you want to publish, or any kind of legal stuff, that's what this house represents. It's also the house that represents our connection to spirituality, religious studies, astrology, metaphysical pursuits. It's where we're reflecting on what our values and our belief systems are and whether or not we're living in alignment with them. And so that's a big theme over the beginning of February and throughout February. You've already had Saturn and Neptune here for a while, so that's already been pretty dominant in the chart, but having Venus passing through here enhances that. And now the node is in here as well. So that's also pushing you into more of that seeking exploration energy. Venus now being in Aries has entered your house of career, which is really positive. When Venus is in the house of career, we are in a position to get promoted, level up in our work or our public life in some way. We feel a lot of energy here in terms of our career and kind of what we're focused on. If we're looking for a new job or anything like that, that's also emphasized. I will say Venus is going to be here for quite a while because Venus will be stationing retrograde in March. And so, some of the things that happen when Venus are retrograde, we start reflecting on our relationships in whatever area this is passing through. And so this is going to be your relationships with people that you work with or that you're somehow publicly involved with in the work that you're doing out in the world. So a retrograde can bring some conflict up between relationship dynamics and stuff that you have to work out. But, Venus does want harmonious resolution eventually. So she's going to be retrograde here throughout March, and then she's going to move back into Pisces and re-enter that 9th house again. So you might be in that reflective, like, what am I doing? Who am I? Like, do I need more education or more, you might kind of get a little wanderlusty once she's back in Pisces. And that happens at the end of March. And then in April, she stations direct and she enters Aries again on May 1st. And so we don't have Venus leaving this area of the chart until June. So you're basically in this kind of ninth, 10th house bubble from now until the middle of the year. And your values, beliefs, your desire for new things, and then also kind of where you're at in your career and your relationships in your career, those are all highlighted for you at the beginning of the year. We also have Jupiter stationing direct around the same time that Venus enters Aries. So on the 4th, Jupiter will station direct in Gemini. We've had Jupiter retrograde for a few months, and the area that that's been in for you is your 12th house, which is the house that rules your subconscious. And when Jupiter is here, there might be a lot of things from our past. And, I say the past, the 12th house rules the past in this life, but it's also past life karmically. So if you're somebody that believes in reincarnation and past lives, this can be something where past life regression kind of stuff starts to happen. If you're in past life regression therapy, maybe you're having a lot of memories come up. This enhances dreams. It could also be a time where we're reflecting on maybe past memories that are positive and negative that we're kind of processing, kind of where our mentality or our sense of self has been impacted in some way. Like this is a area where like a lot of weird stuff can come up, where we're like, oh, I thought I had healed that or dealt with that one issue and I thought I was over it. And then it comes up again and we realize there's some new kind of pathway to healing that we need to do or growth in some way. Gemini is the sign that rules the mind and communication. It's all about analyzing and problem solving. And so when we have this energy enhanced in this area, we might feel a lot of anxiety and kind of this overstimulated energy. But it's also a time where we can analyze it in new ways and grow into these new perspectives. And so in the beginning, if we have something from the past come up that feels like it's kind of haunting us again, we might go, why is this coming up? And it might feel like we're regressing in some way. But it's an opportunity for us to look at the layers that are still kind of there in terms of our own growth and healing and go, oh, is there a different mentality or different perspective that I could be having on this situation that was traumatic for me in the past? And, this is a recovery blog. And so if you are in recovery and you're working the steps, that often comes up when we're doing step work, when we're, focusing on resentments or amends or, kind of taking accountability, where we're like, oh, I see my role in this situation a little bit more than I did in the past. And we could kind of be in this position where we're just reflecting on a different way of relating to something maybe that we went through. That's very 12th house oriented. It's also a really positive time for transcendental meditation, spiritual practices, being of service in your community in a spiritual way. We might feel more of a push towards like artistic pursuits and spiritual pursuits, especially with that 9th house energy elevated. That's a big, you have a lot going on spiritually and kind of who you are and what you're seeking in your life right now. At the beginning of the month, that's coming up in a few days, on February 12th, we also have a full moon at 24 degrees of Leo. This is happening in your financial house, and full moons are a great time for setting intentions towards manifesting things that we want in the material. They're also really positive for releasing and letting go of energy that we no longer want in our lives anymore. And, Leo is all about self-expression, creativity, how we're sharing ourselves with others, pleasure, joy, kind of the playful side of life. And when it's impacting the 2nd house, which is the house of material security, our values around money, our financial kind of situation, this could be a time where we, if we want to have our money be something that influences our life in a more positive way, like let's say maybe we've been really practical about money, or maybe we've had a really negative relationship with money. This could be a really positive time for redefining your relationship to money and your finances. How can you make the money that you have work for you in a way that brings you joy, pleasure, excitement, setting intentions around that. If you're trying to manifest more money into your life, that could be something that you set intentions towards, especially with Venus entering your 10th house and really, emphasizing that. And Venus will be making kind of a trine to this moon later on, not later on, early on, before it hits the full moon. So as the Aries moon is moving towards its fullness, it will make a little trine to this Venus energy. So it is a really positive time for you to set intentions around, who are you in your work life? If you have financial goals, this is a good time for that. If you are trying to let go or release any energy that's negative, this could also be mindset around, limiting beliefs around how much you're capable of making. Money is weird. It's a weird thing because we have kind of like in America, like in the United States specifically, because we have a capitalist country, there's so much potential for us to take our financial, um, like we have so much potential and ability to take our finances into our own hands in this country in a way that can be really empowering if we do the research, we educate ourselves, and we're smart about the industries that we choose to be a part of at various times in life. But when we're going through so much strife politically and the economy's changing so much, making those predictions on what industry is going to be lucrative or what job's going to be positive or stabilizing, and then if we're self-employed, what career, like how do we do all that? Like it's a game essentially. This country is very much a game based off of credit, debt, checks and balances. Like everything's so it's like just because you work hard doesn't mean you're going to succeed. You know what I mean? It's like you have to be really savvy and strategic about what industry you're in during what time, like what's needed and what the economy is doing, what inflation's doing, the taxes, like there's so many moving parts to everything. And so, we can have limiting beliefs around what we're capable of based off the choices that we're making. And they might be reinforced, if we've chosen to work in industries that are not doing well, then yeah, like we're going to have a hard time. But if we're in an industry that seems to be really doing well or benefiting, our story might be different. And so part of the full moon energy could be, reflecting on what your beliefs are around your own financial health and what limiting beliefs you might have that prevent you from really having the life that you want to have financially. Are there choices that you make that you don't really see you have more power in than what you actually have? Is there an industry that you've kind of locked yourself into that's not doing very well and you're kind of like, I need to reshift my focus or find something else? Maybe you're doing really well in the industry you've chosen, or the money that you're making is great. Like maybe you're in this position where you're like, I don't feel like I have any limiting beliefs. I feel like I'm on my a pathway to success. And maybe if you're going to release or let go any energy, it's just any thing that you feel like is in your way to getting to where you want to go. And maybe you're not there. Maybe everything's great. So if that's the case, good for you. Mars is also, after this full moon, going to be stationing direct later in the month. But I wanted to talk about, before I talk about some other things, that Mars has been retrograde in your sign since January. And so this has been impacting your first house, which is the house of identity. And when Mars is here, we could be in a little bit of an identity crisis. Where am I? Who am I? What am I doing? Having these transits happening in your 10th and second house around your career, and then having kind of this tension in your identity, that could be part of the story that's kind of unfolding. Is like, is your outside matching your inside? What are you neglecting internally that you really need? Is your work and your public life taking too much of your time right now, and you really need to figure out a way to pour into your own cup? Mars might be bringing up some of those things for you this month. And then Mars at the end of the month will be stationing direct in Cancer before it enters Leo again in April. So Mars is going to be in this first house for you until April. And, it's a journey of self-discovery, essentially, having Mars here. So after that full moon, we're going to have Mercury leaving Aquarius and entering Pisces on the 15th. Now, Pisces energy is really positive for Cancer. Water likes water. It enhances that emotional energy, our intuitive psychic energy, our creative energy. It's a time that's really good for us to kind of focus on self-care and pouring into our own cup. So that's definitely something that you've been needing. But, the Pisces energy for you is more extroverted where it's hitting in your chart. It's hitting in the 9th house, which is the house that has to do with values, beliefs. I was talking about it at the beginning of this horoscope. And, with Mercury here, it is really positive for anybody that's working on writing something and publishing it. It's really positive for education, really positive for travel. It's also a really good time to teach something if you're a teacher, or if you're disseminating information, those types of things. So Mercury here enhances all of that for you. It's also in Pisces and in the 9th house, a really good time for spiritual pursuit. So if you are thinking of picking up a new spiritual practice, this could help facilitate that. And then on the 18th, the sun moves into Pisces and enhances this area for you as well. Then we'll have Mars stationing direct, and then we're going to have a full moon happening on February 27th at 9 degrees Pisces. I'm sorry, not a full moon, a new moon. New moons are a great time for setting intentions. And so, all these ninth house themes that I've been talking about, education, travel, publishing, anything, if you've got any legal stuff going on, this new moon is a really good time for you to set intentions towards the way that you want to grow and expand in these areas. And, you're supported in kind of putting your energy into all of those ninth house themes. All right, Cancer, I'm going to leave you there. Good luck. February, I think, is going to be a little bit of a bumpy ride for most of us, but you do have some energy that's really helping you push your life into the direction that you are trying to aim it towards. All right. If you want to book a one-on-one session with me, my info is in the description box, and I will see you all in March.